Alright, we're live. I'm here at the Coliseum. They're playing music, and I'm about ready to talk to people. So I'm going to turn the camera around so we could, so I can do that. How do we do that? Let me see here. Here we go. Are you a coordinator? Are you having fun?
Yes, we sure are.
Can I have one of those? That's great. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you. You too.
Got my flag. Go America. Let's check out the back. How you doing? I'm doing fantastic. Fantastic today, right? Have a fantastic day, everybody. LA Fleet Week. Battleship Iowa. Crowds are gathering. People are happy. It's Veterans Day.
Veterans Day.
She looks like someone important.
Janicehahn.
Is that Janice?
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. It's so great.
Miss Hahn? Hi. You're live on YouTube right now. I'm on the
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Happy Veterans Day. Out there. I'm a motivational speaker.
Oh, excellent. I'm going to give it to my staff members. Thank you.
Do you have a minute? Yes. We are live on the internet right now with YouTube on my channel. How are you today?
I'm fine. Good morning. Thank you, sir.
So, what's on your agenda today besides having a fun day?
Great day. Providing the benediction for this extraordinary event that's honoring veterans across Los Angeles County.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And very grateful to Supervisor Hahn and all of the supporters in the city of Los Angeles. And to all of you out there who are veterans or who are family members of veterans, thank you for your service.
Great. I have a charity called Supporting Our Servicemen. That's my personal card. I'm a motivational speaker.
Oh, thank
And
you.
basically, it's ilovesos.org if you get a chance. It's free to everyone. Veterans put their zip code in to find out where to shop, dine, and stay.
Thank you so much.
How you two doing? Just, you're live on the. Have a fantastic day. What are you up to today? What will you be talking about?
Sorry?
What will you be talking about today?
Talking about anything, I'll be listening.
Oh, you're listening. That's even a wise man listens.
Yes, exactly.
Have a fantastic day. Mr. Lincoln, you are live on YouTube right now.
No way. What's
Yes.
going on? Well, come on down here to the LA Coliseum because we're getting together to celebrate all our veterans and what they've done for this country from the beginning of time, from when our founding fathers came here. So come on down and help us celebrate.
Thank you so much. And here's where you'll be, that interview.
I would be honored.
Are you Mrs. Lincoln?
Yes, I am.
You look fantastic. Well, I just gave your husband my card and where this interview will be. So can I talk to you for a quick minute?
But I'm living out my dream. I said I would marry a man who would be president someday, and I did.
Isn't that fantastic? Living your dream is the secret to happiness.
Yes, it is.
And you look, let me pull you back, you look fantastic. How long have you been?
Complicated. I started doing her about 5 years ago, and then I went through cancer. I'm a 3-year cancer survivor. So about a year ago, I got.
Good morning to all you guys, and thanks to the Beach Brass Band for warm resources, inspiration. It's all ready to go. A lot has been, as you can tell, a lot has been done to get this day ready. If we can get you all to start making your way to your seats, the program is going to start at right at 10 o'clock. So we have a lot of things on the plate, and if you could make your way to your seats, that would be much appreciated. And don't forget to turn off your phones. And the seats are for everyone. Feel free to grab a seat and
Hey there.
This is live on the World Wide Web.
Oh, really?
What are you guys up to today?
My name is Bill Brand. I'm the mayor of Redondo Beach, and I just came to honor our veterans at the most traditional historic facility in all of LA County, the LA Memorial Coliseum.
Love Redondo Beach. I'm in Marina Del Rey myself,
There you go.
and I'm known as Dr. Fantastic.
I'm going to change it to Mayor Fantastic. I'm a commissioner at LA.
Oh, very good. Well, I have a nonprofit called Supporting Our Servicemen, and I came up with a solution for the homeless that all the city councils loved, but they didn't do anything with it. So I'm not going to kill myself. It works.
Well, we're open to all ideas for homeless.
Well, this is. Do you have a card as well?
Sure.
Yeah.
Send me an email.
Yes, I will. Have a fantastic day.
Yeah.
My suggestion is.
What is this?
Oh, that's a bloodstone. That's a meteorite, and it's
Oh,
this
yeah,
is about the most powerful thing you can wear. It's very energetic. But this is the most important. And eliminate the word good from your vocabulary.
Be fantastic.
Be fantastic. Wear it. Your pride. Yes. You guys look fantastic. Tell me about your live on the World Wide Web. Tell us about your organization.
How's that now?
Tell us about your organization, VFW.
VFW, Post 2967 in Wilmington, California, Port of Los Angeles, and we're here to lead the flag ceremony.
No, the flag service. So there'll be one from every military, right?
There's different ones. Even some young people are going to be with us.
Oh, that's great.
So there'll be a whole bunch of.
Well, this is where this interview will be. It's live right now. You look fantastic, by the way. Keep up the good work, guys. Thank you for serving. It's a little loud. You know, you can hardly talk with when the music's playing.
Just another quick announcement to try to find a seat and go ahead and get yourself seated, because at 10 a.m. we are starting the program. We are starting the program at 10 a.m. And again, thanks much to the Beach Brass for entertaining us and setting the mood properly. So let's grab it. They are for everyone. Just make sure that you grab a seat. We don't want you all standing in the heat as it starts to warm up. So if they're not reserved, they are for all of you. Come on and sit down.
15 minutes till showtime. Of course, doing their thing. Lots of beautiful people having fun. Got a quick minute, sir? So you served in the Air Force?
I did.
That is fantastic. Are you a pilot? What did you do?
No, actually, I was civil service. I was an engineer, civil service engineer in Air Squadron. Basically, pavement maintenance specialist. We work with heavy equipment.
Okay.
We dug a lot of trenches, laid sidewalks. We repaired runways. We was a readiness team. I was always prepared to go overseas in time of need. And I did it for 4 years.
Did you go overseas?
I didn't have the opportunity, but prepared to go there.
Yeah.
Flown on C-130s in and around in the air. In preparation if we had to go,
Sure.
but we never really had to go.
Okay.
Yeah, we was always prepared to go though.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Well, this is your interview will be on this channel.
Oh, thank you.
It's live right now on the World Wide Web.
Oh, right on.
And it's I encourage you to be fantastic.
Thank you.
Go join the movement. It's on YouTube.
Alrighty.
So if you go to YouTube right now, you're live.
Excellent. Well, thank you
Check
so
it
much.
out.
I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
My pleasure.
Challenge. Wallace. So is Challenge your last name? What's the deal on the Challenge?
Wallace is my last name, sir.
And what is Challenge?
Challenge? We're part of the Youth Sunburst Youth Academy Challenge program.
Oh, tell us about it.
It's a quasi-military program in Los Alamitos, California. It's a Joint Forces training base.
Okay.
And it's for 16 to 18-year-olds to help get them to become
Okay.
productive citizens.
And how long have you been in that?
Currently, we've been there for 4 months. We're almost graduation in December.
Okay. So what have you learned?
I learned discipline, integrity, courage, resilience, honor, commitment. They teach us everything, the values of the military.
That's fantastic.
It's all military structured.
Right.
And show us the discipline and what to do to be successful. And right here is drill team. They have drill team. And each cadet has a chance to try out to become a drill team member. And only six from each get to be in the drill team. He's one in the drill team.
Drill team.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And, 16, just starting. It's fantastic. And how many of the are there today?
Here, I believe 17.
17 of them? Well, have a fantastic day. And let me give you my card. This is where the interview will be. It's actually live right now on YouTube.
Oh, really?
You go to YouTube, you go to Be Fantastic, and tell your friends. Oh, let me give you a couple extra ones to give to the guys. Pass this along to the guys.
Sir.
It's all about being positive. Because you know about being positive, it manifests positive. Negative manifests negative. This is a movement. It's in 41 countries. It's all about being positive, knowing that it's all going to work out, and it does.
Awesome.
It really does, guys. And try to eliminate the word "good" from your vocabulary. Don't say you did a good job or have a good day. Fantastic. Say I am fantastic.
I am fantastic.
How's that feel? Great. Try it.
Amazing.
No, amazing doesn't do it. Try saying I'm fantastic.
I am fantastic.
You feel the difference between amazing and fantastic? Fantastic makes you smile. Be fantastic. Okay, I'm in the back of the crowd here, but that's okay. Get a seat. It's important. This is. Let me turn it around.
Well, that's awesome.
Well, I'm having a fantastic day so far. I'm meeting some fantastic people. So yeah, you're still on. Want to have a seat real quick? Or no, you can't. You can't sit down. You're serving. So, but basically, there we are, Dr. Fantastic and two great young men. You guys going to go in their service? This?
I will join the Navy.
I'm planning to join the Air Force.
One Air.org. Try to memorize that. Your friends that have companies to give discounts to veterans and join it. It's free. It's free for everyone. It's ilovevets.org. Everyone listening, ilovevets.org. Free to companies and free to veterans. And it's all about thanking our veterans for their service. Kind of hard to talk with that music though. First started doing this 30 years ago, I had to pay this training. Now, everything's free.
First responder that died in the Twin Towers.
Oh, really?
And he renamed Leslie after Leslie Thomas.
Leslie Thomas?
She's 2 years old. She came from Germany. Picked her up from Lackland Air Force Base about a year and a half ago. Leave it.
What is she trained to do?
She's an explosive detection canine.
Sorry?
Explosives detection.
Really?
It's a bomb dog.
She's beautiful.
Thank you.
So you're full time with her?
Yes, sir. She lives with me 24 hours.
Wow. Well, that's fantastic. I'm Dr. Fantastic, but you can watch it later. Be fantastic. You guys are fantastic, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Dignitaries arriving. This is the stage for the dignitaries, of course. And we're going to find out shortly who they are, because they're going to all be speaking. You know the story behind that?
The MIA table, right?
Oh. The MIA table. Everybody. 3 minutes till they start the ceremonies. National chairman.
It's my one shot to be able to be in control. Well, how about this? If I start, I'll bet everybody grabs their seat. What do you think? I'd like to say good morning and welcome to the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. The next. It is a very exciting thing to be a part of, and it's a wonderful event for all the brave men and women who have served in the U.S. military. I would also like to take this moment to, out of respect for the organization, put those aside so they're not going to interrupt this incredible ceremony that we have planned for you this morning. We're going to hear from some of the highest veteran leaders, esteemed dignitaries, and honored guests. My name is Philip Palmer. I work for Channel 7 here in Los Angeles, do the morning news. It was a wonderful opportunity to be able to be here with you. Forgive me if I mess up a little bit. Usually there's about 4 people in the building when I'm working. So to see all of these people in this wonderful event and this great venue behind us, it can get intimidating. I mean, we have a presidential candidate here. So, you got to be very careful what you do and what you say. But this afternoon, we're going to have a much more casual, interactive atmosphere. You've got a lot of options. You can watch a movie. There will be aerial demonstrations. You can look at military and veteran exhibits up close at a drill team performance. Get your steps in by participating in a boot camp. Listen to music, engage in meet and greets, and eat from one of many of the vendors. Just look around and you'll see we've got a great day for you. Veterans Day LA is a celebration of those who have served in the United States military. It's a commemoration of those who've paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom and a way to strengthen a community that takes care of its own. Whether you're currently in the military, a veteran, family member, friend, caregiver, supportive citizen, we're here to let you know that you matter. If you've served in any way, you've earned everything that we're going to show you today. Today we have 65 booths of Christmas Tree Lane. It's on Christmas Tree Lane, going to help with housing, education, health, mental health, legal services, service connected to benefits, so much more. And just think about it, today is a day where you're surrounded by people who love you and appreciate you and are glad for you. A special thanks goes out to LA County Supervisor Janicehahn for making this a reality. Supervisor Hahn will tell you we can't do it without our sponsors, LA County Military and Veterans Affairs, United Airlines, ABC 7, the LA Rams, Battleship I, LA Metro, Lionsgate, Midway, USC's LA region. Thank you to all of our. It's also very important, we want to acknowledge our dignitaries in the audience. We have several LA County Direct Day as well. Mark Ridley Thomas, LA County Board of Supervisors, 2nd District. LA County Assessor Jeffrey Prang. Artesia Councilmember Renee Trevino. Mayor Bill Brand from Redondo Beach, and the representatives. There's so many we can't go through it all. We have certain times that we want to hit. We want to say thank you to all of the representatives from the counties, cities who are here. So thank you very much to all of those dignitaries. But also, joining us today, the heads of post and official representatives from countries who also acknowledge this wonderful event we have here today. I'll read off the countries that are represented today: Afghanistan, Australia, Belgium, Ecuador, Germany, Greece, Korea, Kuwait, Lithuania, Mexico, Myanmar, Philippines, Switzerland, and the United Arab Emirates. Thank you all. I want to also give a very special thank you to the many veteran service organizations who are here, to so many other groups, the Montfort Point Marines, the Tuskegee Airmen, GI Forum, American Legion, and the California Department of Veterans Affairs. We have 12 units of color guards here today, so if you could stand with us, please, for the presentation of colors. Before you will be the flags representative of the Stars and Stripes States of America.
Shoulder, forward, push, up, 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 left, left, right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, left. Left, left, right, left, 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 left. Parade, rest.
Ladies and gentlemen, U.S. Marine Corps veteran Elliot McKenzie will now sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the whose broad stripes and bright stars? Let's fight o'er the ramparts we've watched, we're so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Forward.
Right turn. Mark.
Shoulder. Turn. Forward. Hard. Left. 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 Left.
You can all take a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to direct your attention, if we could, to this table just off to my left over here. We ask that you remain seated, but silent right now, as we conduct what is called the POW MIA ceremony. The ceremony is rich with military tradition as we honor those men and women of our armed forces who, in defense of the freedoms of our country and that of the free world, are unaccounted for, and they're classified as prisoners of war or missing in action. At all military functions where meals are served, those heroes are always honored and remembered. The table is set for our prisoners of war and those missing in action from all wars. They are not with us today, but the table is round to show that our concern for them is never ending. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms so that their children could remain free. Let us remember the United States Army. Let us remember the United States Marine Corps. Let us remember the United States Air Force. Let us remember the United States Coast Guard. Let us remember the United States Merchant Marines. Let us remember Let us remember the men and women, prisoners of war from all branches of service that are too often. The lone candle symbolizes the frailty of a prisoner alone, trying to stand up against his oppressors. The candle and the red ribbon on the candle remind us of those who will not be coming home. The single red rose reminds us of the loved ones and families of our comrades in arms who keep the faith and await. The red ribbon on the rose represents the love of our country, which inspired them to answer the nation's call. A slice of lemon is a reminder us of their bitter fate if we do not bring them home. That our distinguished comrades cannot be with us to drink a toast or join in these festivities today. Tomorrow, if we remember. As we look at this empty table, do not remember ghosts in the past, but remember our comrades. Our national anthem singer today, Elliot McKenzie, you heard him and it was, I can say, wonderful. Elliot, thank you very much. He served from 2003 to 2007 in Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2005 with the 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. So again, thank you very much, Elliot. As part of our wonderful ceremony this morning, we're going to have a flyover here in a few moments. The North American SNJ-5. So look up and remember those as they help us today remember what this day is all about. I'd like to welcome now to perform our blessing this morning to a Ted Tenoria, American Veterans Association. Please welcome Ted.
Kulia in the languages spoken by the indigenous people here in Los Angeles. Good morning. I want to thank General Rules Affairs and the County Board of Supervisors Chair, janicehahn, for allowing me this opportunity to be here with you today for the opening prayer. I ask you to please stand as I say, Great Spirit, please help us, Creator, in our ancestral way, to call upon you, the Great Spirit, to enlighten our hearts, soul, minds, as we gather here today to honor those who have served our country, the grandfathers, the grandmothers, the men, women, and aunts and uncles, and the boys and girls. So today we can stand here and continue to know life in a free, democratic society. Please bless all people who are here today. We remember those who have passed, but that's only half of the task that is before us. Today, please let us honor every returning veterans of our armed forces so they feel truly and appropriately honored and by the attention and appreciation of our fellow citizens. Let none feel neglected or forgotten. May our Los Angeles veterans feel the enduring gratitude of the nation and its people. And Great Spirit, please bring healing, health to help to all veterans and their beloved families on this Veterans Day 2019. Aho. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ted. And thanks for the flyover. During prayer, we want to look up. So there you go. Please be seated. Please be seated. Now we want to welcome the chair of the LA County Board of Supervisors, chair of Veterans Day LA, the woman who helped make this day happen. The vision behind her is here today. Board Supervisor janicehahn, 4th District.
Woo!
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural Veterans Day LA. Inaugural means we're going to try to do this every year, and make it bigger and better every year. Meaning. And thank you to Phil for being our MC this morning. Thank you to ABC 7, the early morning show. So he's already been up and doing a morning show, and yet he chose to be here with us today for this inaugural event. Let's give it up. Thank you, Phil. And again, to the Beach Brass Band, you all are fabulous. Aren't they nice playing this patriotic music as we were gathering this morning? Thank you. You know, I wanted to hold this Veterans Day LA here at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum because it is so much more than a stadium. It's a war memorial. The civic visionaries here in Los Angeles who fought for this Coliseum to be built dedicated it to the young men from Los Angeles who marched off to the fields of Europe in 1917 and 1918, many of whom never came home from the war to end all wars. And then my father, the original Supervisor Hahn, who was also later led the effort to dedicate the Coliseum to honor all World War I veterans from across the nation. And for my late great father, soon this morning we will light that historic Coliseum torch. Across the area will ring to coincide with the 101st anniversary of the armistice that famously ended World War I on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. And wherever we are in the ceremony, somebody might be in the middle of their speech or sentence, we're going to stop to make sure we hit that 11 o'clock torch lighting. We're honored to have several World War II veterans, including members of the Tuskegee Airmen here with us today. And I wanted to take just a moment to recognize a few of them. Luke Dixon, Army Sergeant, who will turn 107 years old on November 29th. Hallelujah. Ernest Cowell, Army Sergeant who served in World War II and went on to serve in Korea and Vietnam and earned a Purple Heart. Ernest, thank you for your service. Leonard Vanderhoop, U.S. Navy Seabees Carpenter, 3rd class. Thank you for being here. There he is. Thanks, Leonard. Ted Lumpkin, Lieutenant Colonel, served as a Tuskegee Airman, 99 years young. Oh, he's in the cart. Great. And Bill Dillon, U.S. Navy Radio Man, 1st class. Thank you for being here. We have Ted Lumpkin, Lieutenant Colonel, Tuskegee Airman, 99 years young. I'm so glad that we had an opportunity this morning. And if you'd like to stand at this moment and give them all a round of applause, I think that's appropriate. Thank you for your service. I'm glad that we're doing this today because we know that we're going to lose veterans, particularly those from World War II. We lose almost half of them every single year. So I'm glad we did this today so we could all have the opportunity to thank each of them and every single one of our veterans who are here today and their families. Thank you to the families of our veterans. We know it is not just one family member that serves this country. We know their whole family. Service to our country, your bravery, your sacrifice. There are so few complete strangers, but we have you to thank for the freedoms that we enjoy today. Today we brought together generations of veterans, from those who defended the world from creeping fascism and Nazism, to those who answered their nation's call of duty and served in Korea, and Vietnam, and to the 9/11 generation who saw the towers crumble on September 11th and decided to enlist to defend the country that they love. They represent the best of this nation, not just for the examples that they set on the battlefield, but for the examples they set long after. We have with us here today incredible veterans who, after serving this nation in uniform, have gone on to serve this nation as business leaders, teachers, members of Congress, community advocates, pilots, first responders. And despite earning every right to brag, our veterans rarely boast about their courage or their accomplishments. So we have to do that for them. Veterans Day LA is an opportunity to lift up their voices and their stories and celebrate their unmatched patriotism. It is my hope that this is the first of many Veterans Day LA events held right here for years and decades to come. But this celebration would ring hollow if we stopped here. The support for our troops cannot end on the battlefield's edge. Too many of our veterans leave service only to be met with battles right here at home. 17 of our U.S. veterans take their lives every single day. Many struggle with poverty and unemployment. Here in Los Angeles County, thousands, close to 4,000 of our veterans will be sleeping on our streets tonight and who call themselves homeless. This is shameful and we can no longer tolerate that. Thank you. We all of us need to ensure that our veterans have access to world-class health care to treat the wounds of war, both seen and unseen. We have to connect our veterans to good-paying jobs so that they can put their incredible skills to work, supporting their families and benefiting our communities. And we need to end this shameful homelessness crisis and say, veteran in LA County or across this country to sleep on our streets. Let's make that pledge today. Today, each and every one of you, let's not commit to just honoring our veterans by our words, but let's do it through our actions. We will always be indebted to our nation's veterans. We can never serve our veterans in the same way that they served us, but that's no excuse for us not trying. Let's do that today. Let's honor them every single day that we are still alive. And now, it's my honor. I got out. She's still there. All right, Janice. One of the first female combat candidates, Hawaii National Guard Major Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, come up.
Year on November 11th, towns and in big cities all across the country, we have Americans of all ages. And to thank the men and women throughout history who have worn the cloth of this country. Now, this is not a day just to honor that service. The freedoms and liberties enshrined in our Constitution and guaranteed every single one of us as Americans are what all of us as service members and veterans have sworn to uphold, have promised to support and defend, even if it requires making the ultimate sacrifice to do so. Acta non verba, actions, not words. Our servicemen and women across generations embody truly what it means to take action, to put service above self, to put the well-being of the American people and our country above all else. Now, at a time when we have too many leaders who are looking out for their own selfish interests or power or fame or profits, let this day, this Veterans Day, be that shining example of what service really means for the leaders of our country to follow. Then completely changed my life. It's what motivated my decision to enlist in the military, to go after and to defeat and destroy the evil that visited us on that day. I served in Iraq on my first deployment in 2005. We were based in a camp about 40 miles north of Baghdad, and I served in a field medical unit where the very first task that I had every day was to go through a list, name by name, of every American service member who had been injured or hurt in the previous 24 hours. Those were not just their names were not just words on a page. That single one of them waiting anxiously at home were moms and dads and sisters. So many never got to make that trip home. Never got to say the final goodbye, leaving their families with a sense of emptiness that will never be filled. We will never forget our brothers and sisters. For our unit, at the end of our deployment, we came home, we landed on the tarmac, Hickam Air Force Base in Hawaii. We walked off that plane to the sweetest trade wind breezes I had ever felt. We stood in that formation that we had been looking forward to for so long, hundreds of us standing shoulder to shoulder, listening to the final speech from our commanding officer, waiting for that most important word, dismissed. We were met by our families there who held welcome home signs and who were cheering for us as we came home. You know, I ran straight to my family, was met first with a hug from my dad. I'd never seen my dad cry before, ever in my life. And as I hugged him, I felt him sobbing with tears of relief. My mom then joined in the hug, and for me in that moment, that was really when I began to realize the great sacrifice that military families, that our loved ones make while we're gone. You know, because while we're deployed, we're focused on our mission. We're focused on getting the job done, and thank God it's our families who are at home holding down the fort. But it is our families who lay awake at night, fearing that knock on the door may come. As I was going through this task every day while I was deployed and thinking about those who paid the price for these wars, I often also laid awake at night, worrying about our brothers and sisters in uniform. My guess was not that many. Those of us who've been deployed, we're all too familiar with quick stops in country that politicians make. They come in, touch down for a few hours, you know, bring troops together for a quick photo op, and then go home. We're tired of these self-serving politicians, tired of those who are unwilling to sacrifice their own lives for our freedom and our safety, but are all too willing to sacrifice the lives of our men and women in uniform. World's police to topple dictators who we don't like, to fight in unnecessary wars that actually undermine our national security, squandering taxpayer dollars, destroying entire countries, and then turning their backs on us when we come home. Tired of politicians who are telling us that in order for our brothers and sisters in uniform right now, who are suffering and dying from toxic burn pit exposure, before they can get the care they need, that we've got to provide proof of that mixing pot trash and chemical ash that we inhaled every single day of our multiple deployments. Tired of politicians who shake their heads at this unbearable statistic of veterans who survive combat only failing to provide the necessary resources to prevent this tragedy from ever occurring in the first place. Tired of politicians who bemoan the opioid epidemic that's destroying the lives of veterans and Americans all across this country, and yet refuse to allow the VA to prescribe alternatives like medicinal marijuana as a safe alternative to these highly addictive drugs. Our veterans, our men and women in uniform deserve better. Actions, not words. For me, it's been over 16 years since I first enlisted, shipped off to basic combat training during the hot summer to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Yeah, all right, you know what I'm talking about. Never forget. I'm still serving as a major today, and I tell you, I am so grateful to have the opportunity, the privilege to be able to serve along a rare few, those who are willing to sacrifice life and limb to protect the safety, great patriots who deserve respect and honor and the thanks of our grateful nation. Patriots who deserve leaders in Congress and a commander-in-chief truly grounded in the spirit of selfless service, inspired by the examples of those willing to give up their own safety and well-being for the being of our nation. They deserve a commander-in-chief that should be no less of a patriot and no less courageous than our men and women in uniform and truly understanding the cost of war. Our troops and veterans deserve a commander-in-chief who will have the courage to meet with both adversaries and friends for the cause of peace and national security, exhausting all avenues of diplomacy before considering military action. We deserve a commander-in-chief who will truly honor missions worthy of their great sacrifice. A commander-in-chief who will support and defend the Constitution, including decide whether or not to declare war. Actions, not words. So on this day and every day, let us all pledge as Americans, as patriots, as those who love our country, to honor our men and women in uniform by making sure that they are always taken care of and that we leave no veteran behind. Let us stand together as Americans, united by the freedoms and principles in our Constitution that serve as the bedrock for our nation, honoring the sacrifices of our nation's sons and daughters by discarding the failures of the past and marching ahead towards a future of peace. I want to close with a quote from President Abraham Lincoln, delivered during his second inaugural address, when he said, "With malice towards none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see right, let us strive on to finish the work that we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, and a lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations." Thank you for being here and choosing your time today to honor those who have served. Aloha.
Thank you, Major Gabbard. And I wanted to present to you an American flag that just this morning was flying over the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, which I know you helped fight the fight to keep it the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. He didn't mean me. And she also, I know, didn't mean my colleague on the County Board of Supervisors. Supervisor Mark Ridley-Thomas has joined us. Please give him a round of applause. Mark serves with me on the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum Commission, and the Coliseum actually sits in his supervisorial district, not mine. So it's like permission to come aboard, Supervisor. Thank you. Thank you for being with us.
Certainly thank you to Supervisor Hahn and Congresswoman Gabbard. Supervisor Hahn, you saw just a moment ago giving away one of the flags. The flags that she's giving to each of the speakers this morning were all. Now as we continue, I want to welcome Lieutenant General Stacey Harris to hold the rank of Air Force Lieutenant General. She reports to the Secretary and Chief of Staff of the Air Force, oversees the inspection and evaluation system for all Air Force nuclear and conventional forces, counterintelligence operation, and chairs the Air Force Intelligence Oversight Panel. Please, a warm welcome for Lieutenant General Stacey Harris.
So good morning, everyone. As a retiree, it's absolutely my pleasure to be here with you. Thank you so much of service and gratitude for our veterans. I feel very fortunate as I was born into the Air Force at the California Hospital. So I'm affectionately known as an Air Force brat, as my dad was career enlisted in the Air Force. And the one thing I knew is that I wanted to grow up to be just like my dad. Not because I knew what his job was at the time, but because we traveled every 2 years to what I thought was exotic around the world, whether it was England or Japan or the state of Vermont. It was when I learned more about the Air Force and also what it meant to be a good citizen. And then when I transferred here to UA and was part of Air Force ROTC Detachment 60, I truly learned what it meant to be an airman, to our nation, and to become part of something greater than myself. And I knew I wanted to serve our nation, airmen. And I also knew when my military service was over after 37 and a half years that I would return to where I was born, which, yes, is the City of Angels. And it's also the city of thousands who chose and who continue to choose to serve our nation through military service. And I am proud to be part of the long line of veterans from, and there are many from Los Angeles, including my heroes, the Tuskegee Airmen, who I met months before I went to Air Force pilot training. And they offered me the inspiration, encouragement, not only to succeed in following their footsteps, though to chart a path of my own. Because as veterans, we are of a special community. We are family. And as veterans of the Los Angeles area, our numerous contributions to our nation's defense, serving as the commander of the 729th Airlift Squadron at Air Reserve Base in Riverside. Days after 9/11, when no civilian aircraft were flying, our C-141 cargo transport aircraft were flying, and specifically we were airborne firefighters and their equipment to New York City to aid in the relief efforts at the World Trade Center. And as a Major General and the commander of 20th Air Force, leading and serving alongside uniformed and our largest mission set being the mighty C-130 Hercules aircraft for our Air Force Reserve, I recount the times our airmen answered our nation's call to help our populations, our land masses and structures with our hurricane, with our islands, Air National Guard right up the road. Supervisor Hahn, when you delivered your first State of the County address a couple of years ago in my newfound home of San Pedro, you mentioned LA County was a model for the nation. Not problems we face and face big challenges with even bigger solutions. That holds true for our veterans in Los Angeles County. They've served our nation dutifully, whether here in the US or abroad. They have faced big challenges head on. So we all are veterans a great debt of gratitude, beginning with those we are blessed are still with us today. Once again, the world's greatest generation, our World War II heroes and sheroes. And to our unsung heroes, our family and friends, we owe you a heartfelt thank you for your unconditional, unwavering support and love. Thank you to all who have served and are currently serving our nation in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard on active duty, Guard, and Reserve. I salute you. We salute you. May God bless all of you, and may God bless America.
Woo!
Stacy, we wanted to also present you an American flag that just this morning flew over our Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being here today on LA Vets Inaugural Celebration.
It's been great listening to everyone. Thank you, Lieutenant General Harris. I'm going to just take 1 second and say Thanks to my father-in-law, retired Marine Corps, and thanks to my nephew, who's on the USS Stennis right now, out in Norfolk. I get emotional listening, talking about that young man who the military has changed his life for the better. And so it was a chance for me to say, shout out, hey, wherever you are, if you're watching on, I can even count on. But we want to salute all the men and the women and our armed forces medley. We're going to invite those of you in the audience, and if you're able, when your part of the song is presented. States Marine Corps. The United States Navy and their families. And now the United States Air Force. The United States Coast Guard. Also, the United States Merchant Marine. Thank you all very much. And thanks very much to the Beach Brass Band. There was included in there a special edition honoring the Merchant Marines and the National Guard in that rendition. Oh, is that now? Okay, let's do that now. Here we're going to ad-lib on the fly. Let's hear it for the Merchant Marines. So you guys stand with your families. United States National Guard, please stand with your families. And there you have it. How about the Beach Brass Band? You guys have been great. All the veterans, can you please stand? It's your day. It is your day. All the veterans, please stand. Let us thank you. And as Congresswoman Gabbard said, not just today, but every day.
You're welcome.
Go ahead and be seated now. This is a moment we're going to bring Supervisor Hahn back to the microphone, but also I'd like to bring boatswain mate Larry Gear. He's a boatsman's mate second class, Larry Gear. He's going to ring the USS Los Angeles bell today. Larry served in the U.S. Navy from 1980 to 1992. The highlight of his career was serving aboard the battleship Missouri during the reactivation of that iconic ship. Larry continues his service with over 3,000 hours of volunteer service aboard the battleship Iowa Museum at the Port of Los Angeles. And also here in just a moment, you're going to hear from Staff Sergeant Cortrell Tucker. He's going to be singing Proud to be American, God Bless the USA. But please, for now, welcome back Supervisor Hahn.
Watch the clock. It's 10:50. World War I, as you know, famously ended with an armistice enacted on the 11th hour of the day of the 11th month in 1918. And every year across the nation, houses of worship, schools, town halls, firehouses, police stations, anywhere people gather to and remember, bells toll 21 times at 11 a.m. on November 11th to salute all our veterans, especially those who fought in World War I. Today, we right here will commemorate this anniversary by lighting the iconic Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum's historic torch. And we will be ringing the bells of peace and witnessing a flyover of the Tiger Squadron. However you want to take this moment, if you want to stay seated and think about someone, if you want to stand, if you want to pray for someone, if you want to, in your heart, just thank all the veterans who have given us the freedoms that we enjoy every day, you may do it in your own way. It's 10:58. And I was drawing that speech out. I know. At 10:58 is not moving. Yeah. Okay, well, we do. So the people knowing to light the torch, are they standing ready? Okay, they're standing ready. Are you ready? I'm hoping the bells throughout Los Angeles County. We notified all the Catholic churches within the area to peal their bells. USC is also supposed to be, it's 10:59. 10:59. You wonder how they actually signed it. 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, but they
If tomorrow all things were gone, I worked for all my life, and had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today. It's a flag still standing. Hey, and Americans, well, at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died and gave that right to you, and things are here today. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, down to Houston, and New York to LA, there's pride in every American heart, and this mountain stand to say. And I'm proud to be an American. Well, at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died. He gave that right to me, and we gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. But there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Proud to be an American. Well, at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died and gave that right to me. And we proudly stand up this to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
Thanks, Cortrell, for making me cry. Wow, it's hard to sit down after that, but if you could go ahead and have a seat. Supervisor Hahn, I'll say, I think that was worth waiting 2 minutes for. Wow!
You can't come back with that.
What? Okay, I need to know who produced this and why they put me after Staff Sergeant Tucker. There's no way you can follow that.
No, you can't.
Amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. Let's all take a deep breath. What an emotional, wonderful, solemn, celebratory, just invigorating moment that was. And thank you, everyone who put this together today, for letting us be a part of that moment. And man, I hope we do this year after year after year.
Amen.
As we continue now, it is my privilege to announce General Ruth Wong, Brigadier General, U.S. Air Force, Director of LA County Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. Please, a very warm welcome for General Ruth Wong.
Sergeant Tucker, that is amazing. Another round of applause, please.
Yes, yes. Beautiful. Beautiful.
That particular song is so meaningful to me because when I came back from the Persian Gulf, that's the song that I remember. So I have a very special place for that song. Before I begin, I also want to bring attention to the incredible women leaders that we have in LA County. From our supervisor, janicehahn,
yes,
to Stacy Harris, to all the women veterans that are out there, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Thank you for that. One of the things that our department does is we provide benefits and services to military, to veterans, and to families. But our secondary mission is to preserve military history. And for those of you that have not been to Patriotic Hall just down the street, I invite you to come and witness the military history there. So that's the inspiration for my words to you today, called Memories. As a young girl in high school, I remember well the year Chicago Theater on State Street in the Loop. I collected donations for red poppies for the American Legion. I especially remember the kindness and willingness of people who placed their donations in my basket, only to be rewarded with a red poppy, which they delicately placed on their lapels. The poppy, you see, is worn to symbolize the sacrifices made by our service members around the world, those who fought in our great wars, a tribute to the fallen. The tradition of passing out poppies throughout the year was started by the American Legion Auxiliary and has become a practice since the early 1920s, when it was adopted as the American Legion's memorial flower. Donations from sale of the poppies are used to assist. As I reflected about the tradition of wearing poppies as a sign of remembrance, I thought about other family traditions, veterans parades, events like this. I also thought about how families get together on days like this and sit around the dining room table and talk about what it was like when they were in the service. Whenever I came home to visit with my family after a special assignment, everyone wanted to hear about what I did, where I'd been, and where I was going next. These stories were shared among the neighbors, other family members, and sometimes ended up in the local newspapers. Although my own father never spoke about his service in World War II, I found out my stories opened a conversation about what he did in the Army, and the mutual connection now became a new tradition for us. To each of you I say, if you share stories about your service to your family, please continue to do so. And for those that have not, please start a new tradition like I did. The biggest thank you that you can make is not just thanking a service member for their military service, but to engage them in conversation about their service. You might be surprised what you learn from them. Today in Los Angeles County on Veterans Day, we begin a new annual tradition of honoring our military and veterans here at Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. This historic landmark dedicated to World War I veterans pays tribute to all veterans regardless of era. It is a sign of remembrance of our brave men and women who protect our nation daily. Whether here in the continental United States or overseas, we support you. Thank you and your family for the sacrifices you made to protect our freedoms and for the work you continue to do to serve our military and veteran communities, and for being here today and participating in this wonderful celebration. Aim high.
You can imagine how proud I am to have a real general and a woman leading up the Los Angeles County Department of Veterans Affairs. General, accept this flag on behalf of local LA County, and she helped plan this event. Thank you.
Thank you, General Wong. Also, our next speaker is a Southern California native. Immigrated from Cuba at age 5, grew up in Burbank. Captain Alberto Diaz served as a Navy fighter pilot and landing signal officer in Operation Desert Shield on board the USS Independence in 1990, prior to the first Gulf War. Currently, General Manager at for United Airlines. Please, a warm welcome for Captain Diaz.
Thank you for the nice introduction. It's such a pleasure to be here. And thank you to Janice for inviting us. It's such a unique opportunity for me as growing up here in Southern California. But on behalf of the 90,000 plus employees that we have at United, some of are here. Some of the United families here in the booth supporting the event. We also have some folks back at the hub in Los Angeles in Terminal 7 carrying on with some of the Veterans Day celebrations. So appreciate you having me. It's a real pleasure. United Airlines is very tied to the veteran community. We have, gosh, so many veterans. We probably have over 10,000 veterans. Over half of our pilots are veterans themselves, and many of them still serve in the reserves, in the Air Force Reserve, in the Air National Guard, flying missions all over the world. Some of them are fighter pilots, transport pilots. We even have some drone pilots in secret areas of the desert somewhere flying these drones. And we give them that opportunity to do that because it's very important for the country. And there's numerous support groups at United. There's even a Big Brother program for people that are coming in new to United. And just today I heard we have a local brewery in Southern California called Bravery Brewery, and we have we're supporting that. It's a veterans run brewmaster on one of the airplanes, talking to passengers, and we're handing out some of the free samples of beer. So hopefully we don't start something else that's starting that. But my story was mentioned. I came to this country in 1967. I'm starting to get a little bit older. I'll be 58 next month. And grew up here in the valley with my family, and my family was just and me were just grateful, and I'm still grateful for the opportunity to be here in this great country of ours and to have the freedoms that we part of why I wanted to serve and just to give back. Selfishly, I also wanted to be a pilot, and the U.S. Navy is where I ended, and that's how I ended up getting to where I am today, basically.
All right. Go Navy.
That's right. And so, I was fortunate enough to fly F-18s off of the USS Independence just before Gulf War I. It was just an incredible experience. Lots of fun. Landing in an aircraft carrier at day, lots of fun. At night, it's always challenging, and if it's a pitching deck with no moon, it's actually terrifying.
Oh, bet.
I can imagine.
But
wow.
The military taught me a lot of things, and if you think about it, any individual, if you empower them and give them responsibility, they rise to the occasion. The military, the U.S. Navy, and these branches of service, they put these young men and women flying $100 million aircraft, resting gear, setting the catapults, all the things that the aircraft carrier needs in order to launch airplanes. And all that's done by sometimes 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds. And it's really a testament to how the military operates. It's not only playing sports. I played some basketball in college, and where it just kind of cuts across all race and creed. It doesn't matter where you come from. It's all about that band of brothers like Congressman alluded to earlier. So that was my experience. I learned so much from it, and I still have these bonds and these friendships that'll last a lifetime. I also, in closing, I just want to say, because I think my time's up here, the newer generation of veterans, it's really, to me, from watching it from afar, because I've been at United Airlines now for 5 years. I'm the pilot, I'm the general manager of the hub, and I'm sometimes far removed, but it's always close in my heart to watch these folk on these tours of duty, these multiple tours of duties in harm's way in some of the most dangerous environments, and I just take this time to just commend them and thank them for their service, for the families that, just as Congressman Ken alluded to, if you've ever been in the military, as all of you have, you realize what kind of a sacrifice that is, and it's really just an honor to be here and to celebrate that with you all, and I'm proud to have United Airlines here supporting me. So happy Veterans Day, enjoy the day out here at the Coliseum. Thank you so much.
shout out to United Airlines. As many of you veterans were involved in preserving the name of the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, we really want to thank United Airlines as well as USC for agreeing to calling it the United. Give United Airlines a big shout out. And every time we see one of those planes flying over, give them a salute. Thank you. And on behalf, we wanted to give you a token of our appreciation, a flag that was flown over the United Airlines field at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum.
Thank you, Captain. Remiss if I didn't follow up with, what's the name of the brewery again? Bravery Brewer, the B. The line begins where to show the support? But thank you much. I actually saw ears perk up when you said you can support them by a brewery. Okay, there's a line. It's lunch somewhere. Our next speaker, we'd like to point out, is responsible for transporting 1.2 million boarding passengers a day in Los Angeles. CEO of LA Metro, running transportation for more than 9.5 million people, representing the largest public works program. Chief Executive Officer of LA Metro and 24-year veteran of the United States Army.
Thank you so much, Philip. It's great for putting this on. Give her another hand. She reminded me she wants her West Santa Ana branch rail project.
Good job. That's why she's so good.
Let me also thank Philip Palmer. He does a fantastic job early in the morning on ABC 7.
Congresswoman, good job.
And to the common, thank you for your service as well. The Congresswoman was talking about being at Fort Jackson. And I can remember being at Fort Jackson as an 18-year-old kid in 1976, coming out of public housing on the south side of Chicago. And being in the South, I had never been in the South before. We grew up with the story of Emmett Till, some of you know that. And going to the South was a new thing, but I tell you what, I really found a band of brothers at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. I thought I would be in the military for only maybe 3 years. I ended up for almost 25 years. And had the distinction of retiring as a command sergeant major. I'm a disabled veteran with a 100% disability. And I would encourage you, you veterans out there, go to the VA and update and do whatever you got to do to get reevaluated as well. So as members keep America's democracy alive, on this Veterans Day, I urge you to reach out to the other veterans you know, friends and family, and thank them for their service. This idea of self-service is incredible. I was just reading something about General George C. Marshall, who was the architect of World War II. And you talk about selfless service. He was the one that was supposed to land the troops on Normandy. But he was the chief staff of the Army, and talk about selfless service. He decided that General Eisenhower ability that we all have. Incredible. When I was making my transition out of the military, I wondered, like most of you, are my skills transferable to the civilian? I start off as an air defense artillery person, ADA. Any ADAs in the house? Probably not. And I started off, and after 25 years or so, decided to retire, and I wondered what I would do. And I went to interview for a job at the transportation agency in Denver, Colorado. And that was my last duty station, Fort Carson. And the CEO of that transportation agency was a Vietnam veteran. And his name was Al Marcella. And he said to me, first of all, he understood the level of responsibility that I was bringing to the table. But I still had 6 months to go in uniform. He said to me, don't worry about it, we'll wait for you. And I think we talk about the dedication and the hard work and what we have done and the responsibilities we've had, and the idea that we are willing to pay the ultimate sacrifice, which is our lives. That is incredible. We'll wait for you. And two, I'm not worried about you not knowing about transportation, because as a military veteran, you will figure it out. And so, LA Metro, we appreciate your service. We have nearly 7. We want to hire more. This idea of returning veterans, returning to the idea that we have the largest public infrastructure program in North America. Initiatives, we plan to hire almost 10% veterans annually. We have many, many positions. It's a great place to work. And then let me close just by saying, freedom is not free.
That's right.
It is not free.
No.
The blood, sweat, tears, and the ultimate sacrifice of our brothers and sisters in arms and their families, their spouses, the moving that you must do. I think in 24 years, I moved 18 times. It was pretty incredible. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for your service to the country. And as a last request, I want those of you that can still fit in your uniforms to raise your hand. I can't. Thank you.
You can.
I can feel it.
I know how to eat. I don't
Doing good.
I'd have to go run and start myself.
Thank you, Phil. And on behalf of this event and veterans everywhere, we wanted to present you with this flag that was flown over the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum just this morning. Thank you, Phil, for your service. We're lucky to have you as the CEO of LA Metropolitan Transportation Authority. Build that West Santa Ana branch. Before the benediction, which will formally end, I wanted to, first of all, let's give a shout out to my former colleague, probably the Bond. Give him a big round of applause. And I also wanted to thank the lovely Bellflower princesses in her trip, the city of Bellflower. Please stand and give them a round of applause. They also have special pins that say the city of Bellflower honors veterans. Very special. Thank you for being here, ladies. I want to really thank all of us, all of you, for joining us for the inaugural Veterans Day LA. Thank you to our generous sponsors, our organizing committee, all the volunteers who are making this day possible. Thank you to Jonathan Williams, Battleship Iowa, for really putting this event on and making sure it ran smoothly. To two members of my staff, Matt Johnson and Linda Johnson, no relationship, but thank you for your hard work on this event. You know, this program is coming to a close, but there's plenty to do today here at Veterans Day LA. Stay and go to our Veterans Resource Fair. We'll also be on the struggle of our World War II merchant mariners called The Sea Is My Brother. Thank you so much. It means the world to me that you came. To my friend and sister Congress, Congressmember Tulsi Gabbard, the fact that you joined us today when you could have been anywhere in this country, we thank you for your service and we thank you for joining us today. Your words were very powerful. And thank you, of course, to our ongoing friends for your ongoing service to this nation. I hope every one of you has an incredible Veterans Day here today in Los Angeles County. And now, and Phil, thank you so much for being such an amazing MC. I kept interrupting you all day long. But let's hear it again. Amazing. Take it home.
It's absolutely my privilege to be here and honor, and ABC7 is very, very proud to be a part of this event as well. I'd like to welcome now to close our formal program with the benediction, Please welcome Major Brenda Threat, 224th Sustainment Battalion, Long Beach, California State Guard, Army Division.
Every branch of service has a battle cry. And the battle cry is a celebration, affirmation, and exclamation point at the end of a sentence. Sailors and Coasties' battle cry is hooyah, H-O-O-Y-A-H. So an airman battle cry is hooah, H-O-O-A-H. And the Marine Corps battle cry is oorah, O-O-R-A-H. Thank you. At the end of our prayer, we're going to count to 3, and let's send our battle cries to heaven. Let us pray. Thank you, God, for the skies above us, the oceans around us, and the land beneath our feet, that is America. Thank you for the men and women who have worn this uniform to fly in the air, to sail on the seas, to storm the beaches, and to march upon the land in defense of American rights and freedom. Thank you for the land beneath our feet in this time that is Los Angeles, and the leaders that guide us, and the veterans that protect us. Thank you, God, for each here, for their families, and for the men and women who are deployed across the world. And God, we thank you for your service unto us. Okay, our amen is going to be our battle cry. 1, 2, 3. God bless you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your care.
Well, that's going to wrap it up, the formal part of the program. As Supervisor Hahn mentioned, so much still going on for the rest of the day. We actually have a host for the rest of the afternoon. So as you're saying goodbye and as you're moving along here, I'm going to introduce him to you. Your afternoon co-host has been TV, Comedy Central, Jimmy Kimmel Live. He's a retired U.S. Air Force medic, comedy coach for the Air Force's Wounded Warrior program. Thank you all so much for being here. And as we kind of start to mill them out, please welcome BJ Lang.